I'm putting all of my energy, enthusiasm into this network and this revolution that I think can usher in an age of abundance and a fair game that we can all play where nobody has an advantage over somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really special thing.
All aimed at the mission, which is to orange pill the world.
Totally. When the Sailor series hit, it blew my mind. It was like I stepped out of the Matrix. Like I walked through the world and I feel like Neo. I can almost see the code, the writing on the wall.
But we do have this monkey on our back that a lot of people aren't aware of, right? They call it late stage capitalism. For them, very few people are ascribing it to central banking and the corruption of money. And so to orange pill the world is to give them that realization.
I couldn't be happier. There's times where I wake up and I'm like, dang, am I gonna wake up in my pre-Bitcoin existence? Like, is this all a dream?
All these positive personal transformations happening in the lives of Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
You could call it woo if you want, but the proof's in the pudding, right?
Like, true. One of the things that I say is like, I'm not using my life to get more Bitcoin. I'm using Bitcoin to get more out of my life.
Oh, that's beautiful. So here we are at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm sitting here with my co-host, Eric V. Stacks, who's joining me on the WiM show.
Yes.
We were supposed to have a guest today, but we're taking this opportunity to announce your participation in the business.
Yep.
Coming on as a co-host, helping us diversify beyond just a long-form 3-hour podcast.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a lot more short-form, experimental digital media.
Yes.
All aimed at the mission, which is to orange pill the world.
Totally.
So very thrilled to have you. It's been cool getting to know you so far. And
yeah, same
just
you.
Started. And
yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic. Being a part of this Bitcoin revolution is like something very magical about it. You know, it's transformative in so many ways. I kind of feel like and for me, it's creating this like positive manifestation feedback loop, if that makes sense. And yeah, I couldn't be more grateful to be living through this moment in history. I think it's like one of the biggest deals in human history. And the idea that this thing can change the world for the better in all the ways that us Bitcoiners believe it can is very empowering. And it gives me purpose. And it's like very exciting. So I'm honored to be a part of it, honored to be a part of the mission and be sitting here with you. It's quite surreal, to be honest.
Man.
So thank you.
Super cool to have you. I know you're a longtime listener to the show.
Yes.
I had seen some of your work too, actually, before you came on.
Uh-huh.
We do these amazing, funny, yet moving educational rants in the greenhouse.
Yes.
About Bitcoin. And so that was that kind of raw, unfiltered content is what made you become known initially?
Just pure enthusiasm and authenticity, which actually was kind of hard to like express my authentic self, and like get past the discomfort, fear of social rejection. I kind of think it's like hardwired into us to want to be socially accepted. Our ancestors who weren't socially accepted were ostracized and didn't make it. And so
talking to a camera is weird too.
It is very weird. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to put yourself out there. But once, going back to, I think this is so important and we have an opportunity to change the direction of human history that there's nothing more important than supporting that, in my humble opinion, and I have a beautiful wife and daughter and another kid on the way. And so I'm putting all of my energy, enthusiasm, my economic life force into this network and this revolution that I think can usher in an age of, abundance and peace and a fair game that we can all play where nobody has an advantage over somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really special thing.
Yeah, it's so important. And I came to kind of a similar conclusion at some point that I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to do public stuff. Like, I'm an introverted guy. I like my privacy. I like to be at home alone with my family and my books and all that. And, but at some point I decided that my wants were not relevant actually to serving the mission of Bitcoin. It's like,
yeah, I resonate with that.
I shouldn't say not relevant. Obviously your wants still matter, but like I decided to myself that I was going to do whatever was necessary to help promote Bitcoin in whatever capacity I could.
Yeah.
And so when I was getting feedback on podcast appearances and the written work and all that, we were like, more. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lean into that and do more.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm so glad that I did, because just a matter of doing all these repetitions and getting more used to it. Not only like does it help sharpen the message so that you can help orange pill more people.
Yep.
But there's also this process through which those people that are getting orange pilled are also watching you develop in your own process and getting better, giving them more confidence and or permission to go and do the same thing.
Yep.
And so you end up like creating this ripple effect of like raising an army of orange pilling people, basically.
Yeah.
And it's been so cool to see that play out, where like guys now that run some of these big companies here, even at the show.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it was your thing that got me into Bitcoin back then. And so like to have you come on board and like you're another one of those guys, like it's, to see the ripple effects continually propagate is amazing.
So you had a tremendous impact on me in my journey. When the Sailor series hit, it blew my mind. It was like I stepped out of the Matrix. Like I walked through the world and I feel like Neo. I can almost see the code, the writing on the wall. I can see all this economic activity, the incentives, the corruption. And it's very clarifying. And it makes me, it's like this Keynesian economic pseudoscience is so confusing. And when you actually look at the world through the lens of like this fixed monetary unit, it makes this Austrian economic theory a real experiment that could be implemented.
Yeah.
And it's just very clarifying. And I also heard you say something many years ago at some point where like you wanted to get involved and kind of step outside of your comfort zone, and be more of an active participant as opposed to a passive observer.
Yeah.
And I really went through that when I first started turning on the camera and just started sharing some unedited rants. I went through a period of time where I was really concerned, like, am I taking any risks? Does anybody care what I have to say? And I just felt like, even though putting all of my money into Bitcoin, I think, is a very revolutionary thing, and it's affecting the change that I want to see in the world, it still wasn't all that I could do. So I kind of have been riding this wave for the last year and a half where I've been outside my comfort zone. But the growth that's taken place, the network that I've got to develop, the people I've met all over the world, the opportunity just to sit here with you, like, it's just quite surreal. And I believe that is from leaning into something that intuitively I knew I should do, but I was really uncomfortable going after it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of one of the things that Bitcoin does. It like kind of mirrors back to you where you are in the world. It empowers you to take care of yourself and be more, low time preference and do all the things that are kind of hard to do in this nihilistic feeling that we can have that's a result of like the unfairness and the fiat paradigm that we're moving out of.
Yeah, it's almost like a parallel universe in a way, right? When you do get plugged into the Bitcoiner subculture, all the entrepreneurial activity that's going on, like people, not just entrepreneurial, people also like having kids, starting families. Like, when you compare that to fiat world, where all of those things are going the other direction, right?
Totally.
Businesses are centralizing, people are having finding there to be less meaning in their lives, they're having less kids. Like all of that is, Bitcoin's the flip of all of that, basically.
Totally.
And there's a lot. So again, the mission, like people always ask me, like, what's the vision for the show? Why are you doing this? What are you doing? And I always just say, to orange pill the world.
Yeah.
It is that simple. But we really need to probably break that down and describe what that means for people that don't know what that means. So, the orange pilling is a metaphor from the Matrix, right? Where Morpheus offers Neo red pill or blue pill.
Yep.
I forget which is which. Blue pill is you wake up and forget everything ever happened. Red pill is you go deeper down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And so the orange pill is that moment, basically, right? That you're offering someone who hasn't seen through the monetary fraud illusion.
Yep.
You're offering them a path further down the rabbit hole, an invitation, let's say, into the rabbit hole, that can really dissolve all of their existing worldview, right? Like everything you think you know about the world, when you start asking, what is money, or you follow the money, you end up at some pretty harsh truths, but
it can be a bitter pill to swallow for some.
Bitter pill to swallow, but it's also liberating at the same time, right? Just like But there's the scene in the Matrix where the guy's like eating the steak, and he's like, I know he's in the Matrix. Like, I know it's not steak, but it still tastes good.
Yep.
And I don't care about the real world. Like, I'd rather live in the illusion.
Yes.
You could do that, right? You can live in the Fiat illusion, but I think most people want to accord their lives with what is true.
Yep.
And so, although it might not be that pretty and comfortable outside of the Matrix and Zion, where they're struggling for survival, and freedom, and all of these things, it's the reality, right? It's the reality of where humans actually are.
Yes.
And that's, it's not to say that there aren't some great things in the world. We've made, big strides over the past couple of thousand years, but we do have this monkey on our back.
Totally.
That a lot of people aren't aware of, right? They call it late stage capitalism, or they call it whatever, something else. But then very few people are ascribing it to central banking and the corruption of money. And so to orange pill the world is to give them that realization, basically.
Well, and the thing that I think actually is in the Matrix, when you take the red pill and you check out of the Matrix, life is harder. But when you take the orange pill and you leave the Fiat Matrix, your life gets better.
Yeah.
And that's a very special thing. I don't think, the people that are adverse to Bitcoin, I don't think they get that. And I also think that in some sense, it seems too good to be true. Yeah. And it's hardwired into us to be suspicious. I kind of think about evolutionary psychology and the people who believed in things that were too good to be true, they got led to the slaughter. Sure. So I've started to soften my frustration around people not understanding Bitcoin. And another thing that I've started to think a little bit about is like, I believe Bitcoin is making people's lives better who don't own Bitcoin. The fact that I don't own any real estate, I don't have 17 rental properties. Yeah. Like that means that people who want houses, it might be infinitesimal and barely measurable, but there's less competition in the marketplace. Yeah. I'm not levering against my existing real estate portfolio to go buy real estate and out-compete a first-time home buyer that needs a house.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of changed my concern around trying to like save people that I care about. I mean, I still all day long, one of my favorite things to do is talk about Bitcoin, but I've kind of softened my approach. And then one of the things too that I believe, at least me in my experience, has been the most effective thing that I can do to help, bring attention to Bitcoin or wake people up or incentivize them to do a little bit of research is just be pumped.
Yeah.
Like I am ecstatic. Like it's not a joke. Like I couldn't be happier. There's times where I wake up and I'm like, dang, am I going to wake up in my pre-Bitcoin existence? Like, is this all a dream? This almost feels a little bit crazy. Like, is it even real? And it's just like, it's so empowering and exciting.
And it's also like something you bring to the dynamic here is the enthusiasm, the stokedness, the upbeatness. I'm kind of naturally like a low enthusiasm.
I've seen some enthusiasm since we've been behind the scenes, spending some time together.
I mean, I'm trying to crank it up a little bit, but I do have this tendency to be a little bit serious, and that's showed in the content, right? We do a lot of extremely long form, dense content.
Yes.
And that's been great. There's a lot of people that enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we've reached a larger audience than I thought I would doing just that. But part of, us taking on this mission together is to diversify away from the purely long form, dense content and to create orange pills that are more palatable or digestible for people, right? So shorter form content, funnier, maybe leveraging the news cycle a little bit, doing response content. Basically, and we're really just kind of like the tell-all here. We're a long-form podcast business that's striving to become a digital media business.
Yes.
With all of the content strategy aimed at orange pilling the world.
Yep.
So, and you, again, your background was like this raw, unfiltered content, right?
Yep.
Which is like pretty opposite to what we've been doing. I mean, ours is like, it's raw, but it's long form and it's polished.
But it can be dense. And you're so so in your defense, I think maybe that seriousness and actually in working with you over the last month, like I've had to kind of like work with that. Like, how do I be my fun, authentic, really high enthusiasm self while I'm working? You got this kind of serious energy, and I've seen that lighten up slightly from time to time, and you are funny. When you burst out laughing, like it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, oh, really? He's chuckling, because I've listened to hundreds of hours of your conversation, but you're so well read. And I think you understand at borderline the deepest level how important that this is. And I think it kind of lends to this is a serious thing. And we have the opportunity to change the direction of humanity. And that's so important that it's kind of hard to take that lightly.
Yeah.
And then the intelligence in your, when I'm listening to your podcast, and I've listened to a lot of it, I find that most of the time I have to pause it, think about what you said. I'm like wiring new neural pathways, having that like aha moment. I might even have to pull up a, Webster's dictionary, Google or Word or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm a high school dropout, and I say I have a PhD from the streets of hard knock lives.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's valuable here too. It's to have this balance.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, yes, it is serious. It is quite esoteric. You can get into all that blah blah stuff we do on the Long Form podcast, but ultimately, that restricts you to a niche audience. There's not many people that are going to sit down and listen to 17 Michael Saylor episodes or whatever the thing is, right? So if you're serious about Orange Pill the World is your mission, you actually have to create this other form of content that is filtered, short, and impactful. Yeah. And so this is the art, right? This is the art of taking all that dense, esoteric stuff and translating it into something that can reach people, I don't know, emotionally, humorously, other routes, other than just
I think it's Saylor saying, hey, we need to stay cheerful and constructive.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah. So let's talk about like some of the digital media strategies we're going to be pursuing.
Yep.
I'll let you take it. It's like, obviously, let's start with a show you want to do.
Yeah. So I want to do a weekly show and talk about the current events. I typically don't get too excited about the current events because there's a lot of little things that you could, if you're doing it too often, it's hard to catch all the importance. It's hard to avoid turning a non-event into an event. So I think weekly is enough. One of the things too that's a little bit of a challenge as I've been thinking about how I want to do that is I really have tried to stop paying attention to all the atrocities taking place. If I think about what Booth says, like if you run around yelling at Clown World, like you're really only supporting it. So there's a balance there. And so I kind of want to talk about what's happening in the current events with Bitcoin, but through the lens of like, this is a positive thing. And, what comes to mind as I say that is like Jamie Dimon goes on CNBC like a year and a half ago and he mispronounces Satoshi's name. He goes, yeah, I think Satoshi could come back in 2140 and double the supply. And then, of course, the whole internet goes nuts and they're like, Jamie Dimon's an idiot. And then I'm thinking to myself, and I could be wrong, but the first thing that comes to mind is wait, this guy's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Isn't he famous for like waking up early every day and reads for an hour or two? Like, I assure you he can pronounce Satoshi's name. So it seems like a bunch of FUD that's created. It's like a psyop to keep people away. The only way to to get cheaper Bitcoin for the powers that be is to prevent people from buying Bitcoin. Sure. Yeah. And so I don't think Jamie Dimon is an idiot, but I think he's playing a game. And I kind of want to speak about stuff that's happening currently through that lens. Like, stay on the line. Don't get sucked into the chaos. Like, what's happening is for real. I'm also kind of tapping into more of like a faith-based perspective, especially with this it's almost like Blocksize War 2.0 with inscriptions, and you got Bitcoin Core and knots. And like, I've been thinking for the last couple of years that this is inevitable. And I don't know that it's inevitable, but I think it's highly, highly probable. And over the last couple of months, I've kind of been tapping into just more of like the faith. Like, I believe this is going to work. I'm going to put all my energy and my time into supporting it and helping to usher it in, be a part of the movement. And so it's kind of, I want to do a positive, keep the vibes positive. It's really easy to get sucked into a fear-based state of being. And the more that I can avoid that, the more that I feel like in my physical reality, it's more and more positivity and less negativity. So that's a little bit metaphysical, maybe a little bit woo-woo, but that's kind of my idea around the weekly show.
Though, because this is like what so many Bitcoiners report happening in their lives, right? It's not always the same thing, but you kind of take inventory of the good and the bad, and you start taking bad things out of your life.
Yeah.
Whatever. You might drink too much or eat too much or not work out, and then people start, they get rid of alcohol, they start eating healthy, they start working out. Like, all these positive personal transformations happening in the lives of Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
You could call it woo if you want, but the proof's in the pudding, right? Like,
true.
So many Bitcoiners that are serious about it have legitimate positive changes in their life.
Yes.
So yeah, I want us to lean into that more. I think also with a weekly show, you talked about doing some technology, maybe not reviews, but at least start talking about the tech that makes using Bitcoin easier and more accessible for people. That's something we don't do a lot in the long term.
Actually, I'm not super tech savvy, but I've had to learn how to do the things, obviously, that are very important.
Like you bought, like when we first met, you were recommending the nice shoes and the nice luggage and the nice this. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, my whole life, it's been very important that I get the most value out of whatever it is that I'm purchasing. Like, you know, as an example, I got nice expensive shoes on, but I got a $13 hat on, right? So it's like kind of conflicting there a little bit in some ways. But it's bang for your buck.
Wow.
That, and I'm not super tech savvy necessarily, and I've figured out how to navigate through the Bitcoin realm and set up a multi-vendor, multi-sig, and use Lightning and run a node. And so I kind of think about it like, if I could do it, then almost anybody can do it. You know, I'm not super tech savvy like BTC Sessions is.
Well, and that's what we need. I mean, honestly, that's a better exemplar for people because most people aren't tech savvy and most people don't know what all these things are.
Yeah.
So to show like the actual journey of someone like yourself going from not being tech savvy to having a multi-sig set up.
Yep.
I mean, that's really important because that's what it's one thing to orange pill someone. There's kind of levels to the orange pilling, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like you might own Bitcoin and say, okay, great, but are you in self-custody? No. Like, well, are you orange pilled?
Right.
Not really. Right. Yeah. You're getting there.
Totally.
You're not like orange pilled until you're the paranoid tinfoil hat wearing crypto anarchist fully in self-custody.
Yeah.
So the more, again, this is all kind of in the ideational phase, but I like this idea of you being able to present your own journey.
Yep.
You know, the products that you like, and not even just from a sponsorship standpoint, but like actually figuring out like what are the things that are easy for Bitcoiners to use to get fully orange pilled.
Yep.
Also like some short form documentary style content. Like, you know, again, here we'll either do docuseries, we might do entire documentaries. We did do the one video on the channel, World's Best Speech on Money. It's just me reading an excerpt from a book and doing some animation over it.
It was really good.
We're going to do well. Yeah, it's the best performing video we ever did. Experimenting with more of that, more social media shorts, AI generated stuff. Like we're going to really try to figure out the formats that, you know, deliver the orange pill.
Yep. Leverage the technological revolution at hand to help get this message out in a more efficient way.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So you mentioned it, but like, is it worth talking about, because Bitcoin is going through, it seems like another one of these ideological civil wars. You mentioned the Blocksize Wars of 2017.
Yep.
Which is about block size. Now this is the one we're currently in. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, kind of. I don't have a very deep understanding of exactly what's happening, but generally it's my understanding that there's a push from Bitcoin Core to allow inscriptions.
Yeah.
And Knots wants to filter that stuff. And I think that if there is inscriptions and there's no filters, then we could end up with larger blocks. And that could potentially, at least the idea is that it could hurt the decentralized element of Bitcoin. You could centralize it. I generally default to the thought process that the free market will work it out.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about what's happening to know if that's the case or not. And then I also do think too that the people who are really concerned about this have legitimate reasons to be concerned because this is such a big deal. This isn't just some new tech this isn't some AI company or whatever. This could change humanity for thousands of years. And so I understand the concern, and I'm not exactly sure which is the right answer there, but it is quite interesting. And I do think that we should be talking about some of that more current event stuff on the show.
Yeah.
Because it is important. It's definitely important to help figure out what's the right thing and support that.
And it's nuanced.
Very nuanced.
It's nuanced. It's technical. It's a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a social layer thing, right? Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of politics and divergent opinions, but yeah, it is something we should be talking more about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, look out for more content on that.
Yep.
As well. And then this whole idea, I've been sharing this thing recently, like BTC be the change.
Mm-hmm.
And I do really think that's the end point of the orange pilling journey, right? It's like, if you do take the orange pill fully, right, you're in self-custody and you've reevaluated your worldview significantly as a result of studying Bitcoin, et cetera, you kind of end up in this place where you've been liberated financially.
Yep.
Because you've been around for a few years, you've stacked some sats, Bitcoin's done its thing.
Yep.
You've probably also been liberated cognitively in terms of like seeing the world more closely to what it is versus whatever propaganda programming you had installed.
You're not worried about buying and selling, and then Elon smoked the blunt on Joe Rogan. I better sell my Tesla stock now, right? It's like,
yeah. So you end up at this place where you've been liberated significantly financially, mentally, and then it's like, for me, this is just like my own anecdotal experience, but I think a lot of Bitcoiners go through it. Is they're like, what now?
Yeah.
You know, like we had Yvonne on the show the other day, and he kind of went through it too, right? He got orange pilled, and he gets to this point, and he's like, shit, I need to contribute to this movement. Like, it becomes your mission.
Absolutely.
It's such a powerful humanitarian mission that, like, once you're into that rabbit hole and you've been freed, you're like, well, how do I take this freedom and allocate it towards accelerating this mission further?
Yes.
And so we want to try and lead by example. Like, you're not exactly sure what that is, but becoming more self-sovereign. You know, we're doing some retreats. You came to one of our retreats. We'll do more of those. You know, we'll be shooting guns. We'll be talking about plant medicine. We'll be talking about meditation. You know, all these things we can do to become more self-sovereign.
Yes.
This will help us
and have fun.
And have fun, of course. Of course. Having fun, like enjoying the freedom, enjoying life. Also very important. Thank you for taking this seriously. But I get on this mission. I'm like, we gotta see our shot, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to encourage. I'm not saying I know what the change should be, right? I'm going to try to be the change that I wish to see in the world, but I'm not prescribing that to everyone per se.
Yep.
But I want our work to give people that motivation, or I don't like the word permission, but like sometimes people say like, oh, I saw you, you know, talking about philosophy for 10 hours. I felt like that gave me permission to go and start a podcast to talk about philosophy for 10 hours, which I could say, you know, Jordan Peterson did that for me in a way. It's like this alpha nerd just talking for hours on end. I'm like, I guess I could do that too.
Yep.
So I want to give that to other people. It's like, give them that, not permission, but that unlock to go and be the change they wish to see in the world, and then get that ripple effect going. So
and I agree with that in a lot of ways too, because I kind of feel like, you know, I've been it's been like this stepping outside of my comfort zone. I've been riding this wave where I'm right outside of my comfort zone. And I kind of want to help inspire that in other people to get up, stand up, share what you believe. You know, the other thing I think about a lot, and I mean, applies directly to you as well, and really at a whole nother level, is like, I do a lot of cool stuff in my life, but it's the last thing that I want to do is turn the camera on and post it online to show people what I'm doing.
100%.
But I find that as I've been doing that, or when I do that, it connects me with people that are doing the same things. I get reflected back to me that, like, you know, it's impactful or inspiring or relatable or whatever. And so I'm going to be leaning into that, and we're going to be doing the same thing with you. We're going to be capturing a lot of the cool stuff that you do with your life and put it out there, and kind of just lean into the discomfort, because I think we could both agree that intuitively it feels like this is obviously what needs to be done.
Yes.
And the discomfort associated with it is probably predicated on some limiting beliefs or some different version or flavor of trauma, or whatever happens in life, you know, and or had happened in our lives. And so kind of getting over that and just putting the energy forth to share the enthusiasm and help to spread the good word, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that getting more of the actual lifestyle in content or visible to other people is so important.
Yeah, and hard.
And hard.
It's hard.
For me, like, not only is it that sort of natural resistance and introversion, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But then there's just the technical barrier. For me, it's like, I don't even know, like, what to click.
Yeah.
This is where, obviously, we have good team members to help us with this. Also help us with this a lot. On this trip, we have 2 brand new cameras who are following us around with, and like, that whole that's all serving that mission as well, right? It's like giving people. I mean, one way I've tried to say this is like, Bitcoin has made me want. You said active participant in history. That's one thing. It's like, instead of just being an observer, I want to participate in history. And then in participating in history, I want to become someone that's imitation worthy for the right reasons, right? So like, you're living the way you would want your son to live. Totally. And then other men would imitate that. Yep. And so that entails making your life visible. Right. Yes. And it's very difficult for me.
It's the hardest thing for me. And it's supposed to be something that and that's actually, you're really inspiring, and you've inspired me in a lot of ways. And that might be the main thing, because it seemed to be very obviously clear. And I mean, you've spoke to it. I've listened to you talk so much that it's outside of your comfort zone. You're naturally introverted, but you know that you should be doing this. And so, I've been kind of following your lead for many, many years. I used to walk around and talk to my wife and some of my friends about like, look, I have like my best friends are all people that I listen to on podcasts that don't even know I exist. And I have this one-sided relationship with them. They're like my mentors. I aspire to be like them in so many different ways. Yeah. And so, I just will say I'm super grateful for you and what you've done, and your ability to kind of like, lean into that discomfort and do what you know to be right, or what you intuitively feel like you should be doing, even though it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, you're doing it too. Right? You just literally moved across the country and you're taking a leap of faith. And this is the magic of Bitcoin in a way. It does give you this impetus to take these leaps of faith toward. You're not even towards something that serves you. I mean, it does serve you, but the larger mission is almost always centered on others, right? Like, how do you orange pill more people? How do you dismantle the state? All these things are like good for human flourishing. That becomes your central focus. Yeah. So to make that like contagious and get more people operating on that wavelength, that feels like a very valuable way to spend precious few years we have here on Earth.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, actually this opportunity to get involved and work with you really was like the thing that I was like trying to manifest in my life. I never would have imagined it would have been this specifically, but as I was getting prepared to make a change in my life, one of the things that I really had to integrate that I heard somebody say that kind of blew my mind is most people go through their life and they spend their time like it's unlimited and their money like it's limited. Yeah. And the reality is more so the inverse. Your ability to procure resources is much more limited than your time is. Yeah. And so the idea of grappling with like, can I just sit here in Northern California and hodl and hold on to my stack, or am I going to use some of this to like live a better life? And so one of the things that I say is like, I'm not using my life to get more Bitcoin. I'm using Bitcoin to get more out of my life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so, it's like, just leaning into what intuitively I know I should be doing, and kind of getting rid of the fear, the scarcity mindset, the victim mindset. I've been transmuting my distaste to the world and the evil people that are, been doing terrible things. I feel like to a certain degree, like there wasn't a better way for us to organize and to trade fairly. Like, gold, because it's physical, it's centralized, it's co-optable. Then you got this derivative system that's debasable. Like we talked about this quite a bit, it's like, it's that game theoretic conundrum where like, if you're honest, you're at a disadvantage in the marketplace against the people who are dishonest. Yeah. And I think that's kind of one of the things that leads to us having that like broken, hopeless feeling inside if you're unwilling to do the dishonest, unethical thing. Yeah. And Bitcoin completely flips that upside down entirely. And so I get to simultaneously serve my self-interest in the highest way while I'm also serving the interests of the collective. Yes. And that's a beautiful thing. And at the very least, and this is like, maybe I'm just wacky in the head, but this is all the stuff that I think that I've implemented in my life that makes the most sense. Yeah. And every morning I wake up and the first order of business is like, I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of myself. And then I have to make sure that my thesis still stands true. Right. Yeah. Like, is this changing? No, it's not. All right. We're continuing to move forward. And it's that prudence, and it's just acting rationally. Yeah. And as long as Bitcoin, Booth says this, as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, it's imposing a new rule set on our civilization, and everything is going to organize around it.
Yeah, man, so good. There's so many of those aspects of Bitcoin as the unity of opposites. As you say that, like Booth called it forced cooperation. Yes. I think. Yvonne the other day used the term selfish altruism.
I love that.
It's I have a whole document about this I've shared.
Yeah.
Like there's another one, like it's a public utility, but it facilitates the transfer of perfect private property.
Yep.
This is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
It's so cool to be a part of it. I think too, it does ground out in some religious precepts in a way. Like when I think of the golden rule and the silver rule, the golden rule is like do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yep.
Silver rule is don't do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. And Bitcoin kind of like embodies both of those things. Like it doesn't make sense in a Bitcoinized future to coerce other people because there's not any carrot at the end of that stick.
Totally.
But it does make a lot of sense to engage in like cooperative entrepreneurial relationships with other people because that's the only surefire path to our wealth. And so it's like by virtue of incentives, it's leading us back to these kind of ancient religious precepts that we had forever. And we've kind of installed, some people follow them, some people don't. Yeah. Some people take advantage of them to like manipulate others. And Bitcoin is a weird one, right? It's like, maybe the union of religion and science to some extent, right? Like it is a system rooted in faith, but it's also deeply rooted in economic science, computer science, thermodynamics, mathematics, game theory, and so it's a very interesting thing. And I guess we just want to invite more people in. Like the water's fine over here in the bridal village.
Another one of the things that I like to say is Bitcoin's not a threat to anybody. It's a solution for everybody.
Yeah.
And the path of least, what comes to mind is you did a keynote many years ago that I absolutely loved on taking versus making.
Yeah.
And if you make property virtually impossible to take, then if you want someone's property, you need to offer up something that they want. Yes. It's consensual trade. And so we come out of an era called the BB world, basically all of known history before 2009. And we're now fundamentally in a different reality, the AB world. And the path of least resistance in the BB world to get something was just to take it.
Yeah.
Now the path of least resistance to get something in the AB world is to mine the Bitcoin or offer up something that somebody who has the Bitcoin wants.
Yes.
And I think that's
to be used
monumentally big deal.
Yeah. And it's at the risk of oversimplifying, it's like incentives. Well, they say people don't follow laws, people follow incentives. Yeah. Right. So incentives are like, this might be a little contentious, but I think probably a large point of agreement among Bitcoiners. Incentives are like the prime mover of human action, right? Like people follow their incentives.
Yep.
We could argue about it, but it's like, broadly speaking, I think that's correct, right? People are opportunistic. If there's something that's profitable, they're going to do it.
Yep.
Even if it has bad moral quality, maybe a lot of people won't do that, but you'll find someone that will.
Yeah.
It's like in Darwinian ecosystems, right? Like there's organisms that fill every available niche. And so Bitcoin like closes those niches, or at least makes them less profitable that involve coercion, manipulation, theft from other people.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's forcing human evolution into these niches that are productive, cooperative, and consensual.
And rewarding the honest market participants and punishing the dishonest ones.
Yes.
Which for me, when I understood that was like one of the biggest like internal shifts ever. It was like, oh my gosh, it makes me think like, your parents tell you when you're growing up, life's not fair.
Yeah.
Well, Bitcoin makes life fair in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Which is a trip.
It is. I mean, of course, life is never fair, but at least we have that level playing field.
We're not playing the same game.
That's right. That's right. There's not. I always go back to the word corruption.
Yeah.
Which has an etymological link to the word rupture. When you think of a rupture, it's like a splitting of a membrane. And so there's kind of like two different rule sets, basically, in a corrupt society. It's like you basically ruptured the rule set.
Yes.
And there's, rules for thee, not for me, as they say. We've struggled. That's what a central bank is, right? That's what we struggle with all over the world. So everywhere we think we have free market economies, no, we actually have ruptured rule sets or corrupt rules.
Yes.
In the language of value itself. And that, of course, infects everything that it touches. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's like, the incorruptible money.
Yep.
Or the ultimate level playing field. The other way we've phrased it is, importing the integrity of the laws of physics into the social domain, basically. So just like we all comply with the laws of physics out of necessity, we can't bend them, we can't twist them, we can't break them.
Yes.
We now have the same thing in the sphere of money. And like that, I know it sounds like a bunch of word salad to some people, but
yeah, well, it's also like the merging of the physical world and the digital, or even the metaphysical world, the land beyond. Now, this inviolable, unconfiscatable form of property that's invisible in the land beyond. And that's like a sailor said it. Satoshi lit a fire in cyberspace. He brought life to a dead realm. So I'm a little more spiritual in my thinking. I'm like, well, what's the difference between cyberspace, like the internet? It's like synthetic ether, like it's invisible. It is in the land beyond. And so yeah, Bitcoin is a lot of things. It's like, and you know, Kaysen says this, it's messianic. It seems to be like God given to us at the right time. Like some powerful universal force came in, created this thing right at the right moment before we destroyed our home and killed each other, right? Like we hit this power projection stalemate, right? We got, you know, you can't go to nuclear war, you'll just blow up the whole planet. Yeah. Now, right at the time, we can compete over resources through hashing. It incentivizes us to create faster computer chips, harness renewable electricity, trade fairly. It's a really special thing.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, I guess if humans are like these, you know, one of the magical things about humans is that we create these games that we play with one another, you know, like, and it goes, even language is a game, like what Wittgenstein said, and obviously businesses are games, economies are games. And if we understand ourselves in that way, our aim really should be to create win-win games, right? Yeah. Games where by playing the game, we can both benefit.
Yep.
Right. This is what the economists call the division of labor.
Yeah.
Where, you know, two people actually increase their productive output by specializing and trading with one another.
Yep.
And a win-win game, by definition, requires consent.
Yeah.
Right? This is the defining feature of a win-win game. Because if it's non-consensual, then whoever was not consenting lost. Right? Yeah. They were losing in that trade. So it's like the aim of human civilization should be to maximize the proliferation of win-win games, which is another way of saying universalizing the principle of consent.
Yes.
Yet we were not able to overcome our own animalistic nature. Yeah. There are always some people that filled that niche to go and play the win-lose game.
Yeah.
Looking at you, statist, at the disadvantage of everyone else. And now we finally have something that's doesn't bend to that human will,
which is so wild and so hard to wrap your mind around, you know, but when you get it, it's liberating. It's so inspiring and exciting.
Yes. Yeah. And and that's the level up thing too, right? Is that we're playing a new game.
Yes.
We're playing in a game it's only a win-win game, basically. Yeah. Right? Like, and this has been talked about a lot too. Well, you just said it, right? It's a threat to nobody and a solution for everybody, right? Like,
including the central banks.
In a way, yes.
I think it's almost more sketchy to be an overlord and you're competing on the macro level with other nation states over goods and resources and trade. Like, it's more important, in my humble opinion, that they adopt this than it is the peasant class. Like, they have more to lose. And
here's the thinking there too. Like, yes, it disrupts the central bank business model, but if you're a shareholder of a central bank and you can produce this fake funny money to go and buy Bitcoin now, and then Bitcoin monetizes, it disrupts your business, but it unlocks human productivity. Yeah. So all that Bitcoin you acquired through your funny money business is going to absolutely explode in purchasing power in the years ahead. So it is a win-win game, like literally even for the guys it's disrupting.
Yeah, and though the parasitic entities globally, if they develop a large Bitcoin position based upon the stronghold over resources or the ability to create currency that they have today, if they leverage that to get a large position in the Bitcoin network, if they don't become productive, then they will over time lose their Bitcoin. You have to produce or dilute. There's no other options. You can no longer steal, so now you need to produce or dilute your stack.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You get paid to produce, and if you have a bunch of Bitcoin and you want to sell it and be non-productive, fair enough, you have that choice, but
yes,
it's a forcing function to stop. It's going to weed out the parasitic entities.
Yes.
I believe Terence McKenna said that most or all, I could botch this a little bit, but you get the point, of symbiotic relationships have evolved from what were parasitic relationships, and the parasite realizes that it needs to offer something of value to the host, otherwise the host will die, and it in turn will also die.
Yeah.
And so it seems like in some weird way, Bitcoin, and kind of it makes me think a little bit as I'm saying it of Brandon Quinton's work and comparing Bitcoin to the mycelial network, and then Terence McKenna and his work with fungi and mycology. But Bitcoin seems to be the thing that's turning some parasitic force that humans have with our host, our ecosystem that we live in, and then with each other. It's changing that we're going to be working in much more of a symbiotic relationship with ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, amen. It's forcing everyone to march to the same drum.
Yes.
All right. Just bringing humanity into coherence.
Yeah.
And it's such a obviously we love talking about it. We go on about it forever. We will go on and on about it.
And I'm so honored to be a part of it, honestly.
And I'm honored to have you. And I'm very excited for the barbell strategy. The super dense long form content, but then with a lot of this short form, palatable, high propagation content.
Yep. Well, in those long form conversations as well, I'm sitting in there with you, and maybe this will help expand a little bit, because there's going to be times, since I don't have the opportunity to press pause and Webster Dictionary, pull up Webster Dictionary, I'm going to have to stop you and be like, hold on, bring that in. Can you say that again?
Yes.
You understand a little bit what you're saying?
Yeah. So it's
that will help expand the reach a little bit.
Yes.
I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm not a dummy. And listening to some of these conversations, it takes a little bit of work sometimes.
Yeah,
you gotta want it.
It does.
And I think we have a small demographic of very intelligent Bitcoin maxis that are thinking at PhD level. And if we can, expand beyond that, and we don't want to get rid of that, obviously. That's been your bread and butter, and you're, in my humble opinion, one of the world's best at that.
Yeah, and
we need to add to that.
Absolutely. And we're all growing together, basically.
Yeah.
No one understands Bitcoin fully. We're all we are Bitcoin, right? We're part of the network. We're holders. We're building. We're educating. So it's a process. It's an unfolding process. It's a growth process.
Yeah.
And we're participants in it. And so basically just trying to invite more people into the fold of that process.
Yep.
By any means necessary, which is, again, so always fill the world.
Yeah. And just sharing as much of it as we can.
Yes.
And that's leaning into that discomfort and doing what seems to be the right thing to do, and inspire others by showing hey, these are the things that we've done or we're experiencing that are transforming our lives, making it better. If you're interested in doing some of these things, do it. If not, I still love you. It's a beautiful world.
Yeah. I'm into that. I think that's a good place to bring it to a close. I mean, everyone probably already knows this. Whatismoneypodcast.com. You're going to be co-hosting all these shows with me. I'm looking forward to the experimentation. See what we can do.
Me too. Yeah. I'm super pumped, and I'm super grateful.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, man.
iCoin Technology has released a slick new hardware wallet. It looks like a mini iPhone with a high-res 3-inch touchscreen and camera on it. The device has no Wi-Fi, no cellular connection, and no GPS. It is an air-gapped hardware wallet which uses QR codes and a camera to communicate with the Bitcoin network. It has a built-in camera which is required for air-gap operation, and it has an optional Bluetooth compatibility. It's really a brand new user interface and user experience for a Bitcoin hardware wallet. iCoin makes self-custody accessible, easy to use, and non-intimidating. It even comes with an optional custom iCoin thermal printer, so you can print out the private key and its associated QR code when you're setting up the wallet. This makes setup quick and simple. Also, it is easy to restore the wallet just by reading the seed phrase QR code with the wallet camera. And as we always talk about on this show, the only way you can truly own your Bitcoin is by having it in self-custody. So you need a device like the iCoin wallet to truly own your Bitcoin. So go to iCointechnology.com/breedlove today for 30% off the purchase of this sleek new hardware wallet. Again, that's iCointechnology.com/breedlove. In times of chaos, clarity can be currency. Right now, supply chains are fragile and cash flow has never been more volatile. If your business can't adapt in real time, then you're exposed. That's where NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 cloud ERP, trusted by over 41,000 businesses for a reason. It gives you total visibility, from global shipments to real-time cash flow to the true cost of what's stuck. NetSuite consolidates accounting, finance, inventory, and human resources into one unified platform, one source of truth. With AI baked in, routine tasks get automated away so that your team can stay focused on high-leverage activities. If I were scaling a business right now, NetSuite is the system I would use. One system, full control. With NetSuite, you can tame chaos. If you're running a business doing 7 figures or more in revenue, grab their free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders, at netsuite.com/whatismoney. Again, that's netsuite.com/whatismoney. If you're anything like me, you understand that Bitcoin is something we can use every day to connect, to collaborate, and to build stronger, freer communities. As true Bitcoiners, you all know we are each responsible for onboarding more Bitcoiners. That's why I chose to partner with Cowbolt, an expense splitting app that settles in Bitcoin. It can be as simple as splitting a dinner bill. Your friend covers dinner and you reimburse them, but you send it back to him in Bitcoin. Now your friend has their first sats, and as I always say, where your money goes, the mind follows. By using Cowbolt to get Bitcoin into the hands of your friends and family, you can help us orange pill the world. Cowbolt is built to let you split costs, share expenses, and settle instantly, while always keeping full control of your keys. Cowbolt is simple, social, non-custodial, exactly how Bitcoin was meant to be used. If you're serious about Bitcoin, it's time to act like it. Download Cowbolt today on iOS or Android. To learn more, go to cowbolt.com. Again, that's Cowbolt, COWBOLT.com. Forget multivitamins and other supplements. Animal organs are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. You can get 100 times more nutrients from organs than you can from muscle meats. But the problem with eating organs is that they are difficult to find in stores, they are difficult to prepare, and even when they are prepared well, they often don't taste great. Thankfully, Heart and Soil Supplements has made consuming organ meats so much easier by providing powderized organs in capsule form. Organ meats include everything your body needs to thrive: vitamins, minerals, peptides, proteins, and growth factors. This is why organ meats were the most prized foods for our ancestors. Fortunately for us, Heart and Soil makes these treasured foods easily accessible. So go to heartandsoil.co today and use discount code BREEDLOVE to get started on your journey to optimal health and vitality. Again, that's heartandsoil.co, discount code BREEDLOVE. Would you rather have 1 Bitcoin today or 2 Bitcoin a few years from now? Bitcoin mining is a tried and true strategy for accumulating Bitcoin. Over a 2 to 4 year time frame, successful miners have consistently accumulated more Bitcoin than they otherwise would with a traditional dollar cost average strategy. Blockware mining as a service enables you to start mining Bitcoin from your laptop. Blockware handles everything from securing the miners to sourcing low-cost power to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. Plus, with Blockware's one-of-a-kind mining marketplace, you can buy and sell live Bitcoin miners with just a few keystrokes. In this marketplace, buyers get to purchase live machines at vetted facilities, enabling them to mine with zero lead time. And sellers get the opportunity to liquidate their machines and hosting contracts at will. This means you can mine Bitcoin with zero long-term commitment and high liquidity on your mining rigs. Blockware will even cover your energy bill for 1 week per mining rig when you sign up at mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. Again, that's 1 free week of Bitcoin mining at mining.blockwaresolutions.com/breedlove. And on top of this offer, you can also use code BREEDLOVE to get $100 off your first mining rig with Blockware Solutions. Have you ever wanted to start a business in the Bitcoin space? If so, then the Wolf Startup Accelerator could be for you. Wolf is the first startup accelerator dedicated exclusively to businesses developing in the Bitcoin Lightning Network. 4 times each year, Wolf brings teams from around the world to New York City to work with like-minded entrepreneurs, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with Bitcoin and Lightning. The program is designed to help early-stage companies achieve product-market fit, develop their brand, secure early-stage funding, and grow businesses that fuel the global adoption of Bitcoin. Go to wolfnyc.com to learn more or apply today. Again, that's Wolf, WOLFNYC.com. Bitcoin custody is evolving. Both self-custody and single third-party custody come with significant risk and trade-offs. Onramp is pioneering a new standard, multi-institution custody, which eliminates single points of failure, adding fault tolerance and redundancy to your setup. Onramp secures your Bitcoin in a segregated cold storage multi-key vault guarded by 3 independent institutional-grade custodians, none of which have unilateral control over your keys. Your funds are fully auditable on-chain, cannot be rehypothecated, and can only move or be withdrawn at your explicit direction. Multi-institution custody removes the technical, mental, and physical burdens of private key management, providing unparalleled peace of mind for you and your loved ones. Bitcoin is money, and as the price continues to appreciate, OnRamp helps you seamlessly tap into financial services like trading, inheritance, insurance, loans, IRAs, and more, all without compromising on security or accessibility. Schedule a consultation with the OnRamp team to learn more at onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. Again, that's onrampbitcoin.com/breedlove. One of my highest health priorities is keeping my brain in top shape. To take care of my brain power, I do many things, such as striving to read, write, exercise, and meditate daily. One of the latest tools in my brain power toolkit is MindLab Pro. MindLab Pro is a nootropic supplement that is scientifically proven to enhance your brain power. When I take MindLab Pro, my mind feels like it has a better grip on the world, my thinking is more lucid, and the articulation of my speech is radically improved. MindLab Pro has been tested in rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled human trials and has been proven to enhance brain power for users in every age group. MindLab Pro is an advanced formulation of 11 nootropic ingredients and is backed by research from over 1,400 human trials conducted over the past 32 years. So if you're looking to enhance your brain power, MindLab Pro is an excellent solution. Go to mindlabpro.com/breedlove to start enhancing your brain power today. Again, that's mindlabpro.com/breedlove. Knowing when to buy Bitcoin can feel complicated, and knowing how much to buy can be overwhelming, and getting started can be a headache, but it doesn't have to be. That's exactly why I recommend Coinbits, because it solves these major blockers and it's the easiest way to buy Bitcoin. With Coinbits' Round Ups feature, you can automatically convert your spare change into Bitcoin while you shop. For example, when you buy a coffee for $3.50, the extra 50 cents is rounded up and it goes straight into Bitcoin. Here's why that's a huge win for you, because you don't have to be a tech wizard or try to time the market just right with Bitcoin. With Coinbits Roundups, you simply set it, shop, and stack sats. And you can set this up in under 2 minutes. Just visit the website, connect your card, and boom, you're buying a little Bitcoin every time you spend money. So stop wasting your time with complicated exchanges or confusing shitcoin apps. Coinbits simplifies your Bitcoin savings strategy. So go to coinbits.app/breedlove. Again, that's coinbits.app/breedlove. The farm at Okefenokee is a revolutionary new regenerative agricultural community. It features an 8,000 tree olive orchard, which they use to make their own olive oil, as well as a very large pecan orchard. All the animals on the farm are heritage animals, with some varieties over 100 years old and others thousands of years old. Fresh eggs are produced daily by the farm's chickens. Also, there are over 1,000 beehives that pollinate the over 200 heirloom fruits and vegetables and provide honey to all the residents. The farm makes its own molasses, unrefined sugar, herbs, and spices. The farm also features an herbal apothecary and a commercial kitchen. These are just a few reasons why the farm is the healthiest place on earth. To learn more about the healthiest place on earth, go to okefarm.com and use discount code BREEDLOVE for $21,000 off custom cabin pricing. Again, to learn more about the farm at Okefenokee, go to okefarm.com and be sure to tell them I sent you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.